riding down the Harland Highway.
All right, hold tight on the Harland Highway show.
Harland Williams.
Let me see if your mic's going. What the? No, you gotta enunciate.
Oh, could you hear me fine? Is this good?
Yeah. Okay. You knew you had to talk into the mic, right? You can't do silent horse whispers. I'm not a horse.
The way this is set up is a little intrusive, would you say?
Yeah, I've got to rejigger it. I've got to move this.
Careful.
I know.
Why don't we put that on that side? I'll help you out right now.
I'm going to do it, but I need to do it after I've had a healing.
I could do it for you.
I know, but I need to sit with a shaman and integrate.
What about a glassman who could then see you if we put it over there?
A glassman?
Yeah, by trade.
Wow, you are a glassman.
Harlan.
Hi.
Oh, I couldn't see you.
Because of this?
Yeah.
Well, that brings me to our wonderful guest here today. By the way, gang, let's hit the, you ready for some theme music, guy?
Is REO Speedwagon?
Yeah, this is REO Speedwagon after the tour bus rolled. I don't know why I have my glasses on.
Me neither.
Oh, wow. Cross-eyed Susie, look at you. Have you ever heard of that wildflower, a cross-eyed Susie?
One of my favorites.
Oh, wait, no, it's a black-eyed Susie.
I don't like those as much.
Yeah, they feel it's got kind of that battered.
When you got a battered Susie, get a battered one that's cross-eyed. When you got a battered Susie, better love the one that's deep inside. For when you love yourself and you love the Lord, you wanna figure out what it all was for. And if you wanna love who you got inside, then baby, show what you're worth and have all the pride. We talking lazy,
Lazy Susie.
we're talking lazy,
Lazy Susan.
we're talking lazy,
Lazy Susan and.
only on the Harlan Highway. Yeah.
Bro,
I love REO Speedwagon.
aren't they the best when they haven't been their tour bus hasn't been rolled by a train?
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, a train carved right through their tour bus, killed the drummer, and sheared the legs off the singer.
Really?
Yeah, just a real rock and roll tragedy. Like Leonard Skinner went down in a helicopter. Stevie Ray Vaughan went down in a helicopter. REO Speedwagon plowed by the Midnight Express from Cleveland to New Mexico. Train 57092.
Are you, you know a lot about rock and roll, huh?
I'm a train guy.
And you know about the helicopters too.
Well, helicopters and trains are sort of linked. They're very mechanical. They run off of oil, gas, diesel, machine parts, and so there's a real kinetic interrelation between the two various vehicles.
Harlan.
Hey.
Oh, sorry, this is a little.
There it is. It's just a little. You're gonna get a little blocked here and there. Oh, what was that?
The wire was on backwards for me.
Oh, because it looked like you were readjusting your scapula.
Well, it does look like that, doesn't it? Did you fart?
No, it's just your scapula.
Oh, watch. That way I could do it without a hand.
Oh, wow.
I do it sometimes with my glasses. Like if my glasses are down, I could fix it with my hand, but you could also just go like this.
Oh, the gopher. Yeah, the gopher look.
Yeah.
The prairie dog thing.
People, when I was in middle school, they would call me Gopher Glassman.
Oh, yeah.
But I always thought they were like making fun that I was a receptionist, and they're saying Gopher Glassman.
Oh, wow.
But they were calling me a gopher.
In middle school.
Yeah.
And what happened when you went to the school on the right?
They called me the same thing. I mean, I'm still known as this.
Well, what about on the school on the left?
Never went. Although it's more important now than ever with what's happening in this climate politically.
So you only went to middle school and right school, but not the left.
I went to middle school, right school, high school. Wow. MRH. That's where I get my nickname, MRH.
Oh, yeah.
People think it's for Mr. Harlan, but it's middle school, right, high.
But what's an MRI? Because I've heard those letters before.
Yeah, that's a medical imagery procedure where you could then see within. It's like an X-ray is just bones, but MRI lets you see joints and ligaments from a three-dimensional space. It's done with magnets.
Could it let you see a scapula?
Yeah, but you would also probably do an X-ray for that.
I wouldn't. Maybe whoever you're referring to would. But,
whomever.
Well, I don't. I go straight to things I want to go to, and I don't
Right.
necessarily follow the protocol
Right.
of interwoven technocrats.
IRTC, yeah. But I go to my doctor, Dr. Whom, and he
Doctor who?
Dr. Whom.
Who?
Whom.
Oh, okay.
First base.
First case? Really? You were his first patient?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So he's new.
I mean, I went to him 5 years ago, so he's been doing it. I mean, I still go to him.
Who?
Whom?
Who?
First base.
This is my guest, Rick GLASSMAN. And you're here on the Harlan Highway, guy.
Yeah. What a trip it is so far.
So far, it's
beautiful view.
It is a beautiful trip.
Mm-hmm. Do you like that? Do you think I'm funny?
I'm getting there.
Right. Well, that's kind of the theme of the podcast, right?
Yeah.
If you were already there, what would we be listening to?
I don't know what you listen to when you get there. Are you saying like when we get to heaven or when we get to hell type of thing?
Well, wherever it may be. See, there's a cliche that is appreciate the journey. It's because that's what it's about. It's not about the destination. I would argue it's not about the destination. The destination is a variable, but let's not pretend that the journey isn't a longer one. And it's important.
Yeah.
Right? Take for example.
Can I just stop you for 1 second and then if you could just spell cliche for me, because I'm hung up on that before you started.
CLICHE, but it's the one with a dash above the second.
So
G.
it's German Klusche.
I'm not sure. I'm not.
Maybe you're pronouncing it wrong.
Yeah,
Cliche, but maybe it's when there's ever a thing that thing, cliche.
Yeah.
Is probably the right pronunciation, but you're the author. You're the one who's written a book.
Mm-hmm. Have you not written a book?
I have not written a book, but one of the things...
Rick.
I was going to say Richard.
That's fine.
Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. One of the many things Richard does, he's a comedian, he's an actor, he's a producer, and he's an author. And one of the things I wanted to really jump into out of the gate today was your new book. I got my team on it, and I was just fascinated. It was such a good read. Pony Rides and Prostitutes, My Childhood Memoirs with My Uncle Charlie.
Well, see, Pony Rides and Prostitutes originated from meeting with Dr. Whom and having all these procedures and MRIs. I had a procedure called platelet-rich plasma injection, PRP.
Oh, heard of that.
Yeah, so with the PRP, Pony-Rich Prizes, that's why I went that route. And I actually wanted to show you because I sent you the digital copy, but I have the image for the back cover, my picture.
Oh, this is for the back of your book.
Yeah. I thought maybe you could put it up somewhere. I could sign it when we're done.
Yeah, let's show that to the 5 or 6 people watching here. And this is...
I thought they only listen.
Yeah, some of them have to watch because they have eyes. And it's like, they're born with eyes. And so sometimes they have to watch. But Rick GLASSMAN, and let's talk about your book, Pony Rides and Prostitutes. Memories of a Childhood with Uncle Charlie. And if you're okay, if I could jump in and just right out of the gate read an excerpt.
Yeah.
This was...
I want to make sure, because it isn't out yet, and I want to make sure we're not... what chapter are you doing?
This is chapter 1, right near the beginning.
I want to make sure that we don't... anything that's... Because it's a 4-act book. I want to just make sure we don't do anything from the second, third, or fourth act, so that's fine.
We won't. But, I just found it such a fascinating journey that... to know someone related to the Manson family, Charlie Manson, and that he was your uncle.
Well,
it's a mind blower.
We called him an uncle because he was my uncle's best friend, and we called them my uncles. But he's not blood related. But yes, I grew up Uncle Charlie.
Well, your book maybe, I don't know if it spins a little bit of a different...
Did you finish it?
I finished the whole thing. I couldn't put it down. Are you kidding? The stories of you...
Will you bleep this part out?
Sure.
Will you really bleep this part out?
Yes.
たまにコメントが来るんですよね。何人かとか、本当に日本語喋れたんだとか、なのでみんなに日本語が喋れるんだよっていうことを示さないとねいけないと思って。で僕は日本生まれ日本育ちで、日本の学校にも行ったし、日本の会社に勤めてた。
That's why. Do you understand?
Yeah. Now after reading it, I see it.
Yeah.
Well, let me just, can I read this excerpt and then let's jump in. I've got 125 million questions. If I could just jump in and read an excerpt.
Yeah.
This is Pony Rides and Prostitutes with Uncle Charlie, my childhood memoirs of my uncle Charles Manson by Richard R. Glassman.
GLASSMAN.
Yeah. Here we go. I stood in the living room window. Wonderment filled my youthful eyes as Uncle Charlie walked up the path to the front door. Just like every Thanksgiving, he always showed up last, the rest of the family pretending not to be annoyed. There was something about Uncle Charlie that was different. He wasn't like the other adults. He had a swagger, a charisma, a twinkle in his eye that made me wonder if Satan had red hairs surrounding his burnt asshole. I remember when he would pick me up and hug me, my cheruby face pressing into the brittleness of his endless wiry beard, my nose buried deep within the entangled, unkept whiskers growing from his face. It stunk in there, like the black leather miniskirts of 1,000 Bakerfield streetwalkers, like the sheets of a Motel 6 bed after a big rig driver had all-night trucker sex with an overweight runaway from Galveston or El Paso. It whiffed of tobacco, Velcro, and even a hint of Burger King Whopper with cheese, but somehow I liked it. It was familiar to me. It felt like home. It felt like Thanksgiving. Even after the time he pulled me in so deep, I somehow got a corn niblet stuck in my eyelid. I still loved it in Uncle Charlie's osprey nest of a beard. He was most certainly my favorite uncle. I mean, for our viewers, our listeners, how does a child have what turned out to be one of the most, I hope you're not offended by this because he's family, evilest people, well, I was going to say evilest people on the planet coming for Thanksgiving dinner into your home and just you being obviously enamored with him or charmed by him somehow?
Yeah, well,
I mean, it's Charles Manson, Rick. Are you getting emotional, sort of?
no, it's just,
I mean, most writers might have more words. You're kind of, if you could articulate anything at this point.
I'm feeling empathy toward my younger self.
Okay, I see. Why? If you don't mind me getting deeper and antagonistic.
I didn't know anything, what was happening.
Right,
This
you
was just
clearly
a
didn't
friend
know.
of my uncle's.
He was the family, your favorite uncle.
And as I got older and I learned, I had a lot of shame about this. And in fact, starting this project, I wasn't planning on sharing a book.
Right.
I was, my therapist had suggested I do diary entries, and it turned into a bit of, it was easier to tell it as a story, right? As if this was a story, as if this wasn't something that my family and I experienced, if this wasn't something that maybe I didn't do wrong. Maybe as a child, I was just living my life forward and not understanding, and to appreciate the idea that I understand something now that I didn't understand then.
About yourself or about Uncle Charlie?
About all of it, about the way the world works and how we grow up in a bubble and we think that bubble is all that exists.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, it's our responsibility to recognize that just because that bubble does exist, it doesn't mean there aren't other bubbles around. And I had a lot of shame and regret in thinking that, how did I not know what I know now?
About Uncle Charlie?
About Uncle Charlie, about my actual Uncle Rob.
Okay.
And their relationship. And what could I have done different? And
Wait, are you experiencing some kind of residual guilt, like for the actions of Charles Manson?
Absolutely.
You somehow feel
absolutely
beholden to his actions? Or
I don't feel beholden to his actions. No, I do feel like, well, if I knew then what I knew now, would I have eaten the food that he brought? Would I have welcomed him in? Would I have trusted him? Would I have loved him.
Well, on that note, if I can read the next excerpt where you're having Thanksgiving dinner, on the food played a very important role, where it feels like that might have been what triggered you to understand what was beginning to evolve between you and him and the family dynamic. If I could do one more excerpt here, I think this sheds light on what you were just saying, and probably maybe even more articulately than how you said it, even though you wrote this. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. And I know that you're being playful. You as a person, or a playful person, I mean.
Well, it's more of a backhanded slap or slander.
Well, I just felt that way. I just want to acknowledge that the way you said how I'm not being articulate. Now, this is a story that I went through that is told in a way to be understood, and I'm just expressing this. I haven't spoken about this yet publicly.
I know, but it's odd when you bring in the artist, the author, the writer, and the thing on the paper seems more articulate than the person who created it. And I guess what
the book is a sense of memory of the things that happened as opposed to the feelings I have today. This is from the point of view.
Right.
And what's confusing, it's from the point of view as a kid told from the adult.
Child. Yes.
So now here I am telling you the point of view of the adult. So anyway, but continue.
And it's very, very blurry, but let's see if we can clear it up a little with this next excerpt. This is tough to read, but let's jump in. It was this book. I mean, it kept me up all night.
When?
This was about 3 weeks ago. I was reading it.
Have you been sleeping? Was it just that one?
It's been tough sleeping.
Since?
I mean, well, it's just we're friends. I know you. To know that you went on this journey with this uncle who turned out to be one of the most vile human beings on the planet. And
well, you didn't know him, but...
No, but you did. Mm-hmm. And I feel empathy and compassion for my friend who lived through a trauma he didn't know was on its way. I recall Uncle Charlie showing me a card trick once, asked me to pick a card from the deck. Before doing so, I took notice of something on Charlie's hand and commented, "Is that dried human blood under your fingernails, Uncle Charlie?" I asked as innocently as an altar boy who had just snuck a silent church fart out under his Sunday robe.
My dad thought that was funny, but my publisher told me that it sounds like making a joke, and I thought it did loosen it a little.
Well, if I could maybe read uninterrupted, that would... No, I'm just saying because it's almost like you already wrote this, and we don't need you. It's like you're trying to put glory on glory. And Uncle Charlie's eyes turned as black as Satan's fallopian tubes, and he responded in a soft, almost seductive voice. "I'm going to snap your femurs and suck the marrow out like a hyena eating placenta off the back of newborn twins." I was both confused but enchanted by this unfamiliar banter, and it wasn't until later during the Thanksgiving feast that Uncle Charlie's colorful words took on even more meaning. Charlie had requested a drumstick off the massive festive turkey, and when no one was looking, he snapped the leg bone in half and made his tongue dance like a Russian ballerina across the jagged, splintered edges. Like a fleshy crimson serpent straight from Satan's vulva, Uncle Charlie's eyes filled up with can only be described as the maniacal gaze of a fat woman sniffing for cheesecake crumbs in the folds of her own muffin top. For the first time, I started to wonder if Uncle Charlie's strange allure was more menacing than I had ever expected, if perhaps my favorite uncle, Uncle Charlie, could somehow hurt me. Yeah. I mean, are you kidding me? Wow. So I mean, I've got goosebumps.
So it's without giving too much away, I do want to acknowledge the tone of what this book is.
Yes,
I am using poetic license to instill some of the realizations and awarenesses, like I was talking about, that I have today. Then,
okay.
So it's important to acknowledge some of the things that I remember are contextualized different through the eyes today. For example, he was talking about that stuff, but when he was making jokes, and I thought they were, about hyenas, I just was listening to Lion King, and I didn't. Right. And I'm now looking back and literally filling in the blanks. In fact, part of this process that I was doing with my therapist literally had blanks, almost Mad Libs. And I filled in as much as I could remember, and I asked some family and friends, and then some of which, just full candor, was just filling in to get from here to here as most efficiently as I can with things that Like the turkey leg, for example. I remember it was something with the turkey. I don't remember if it was the leg.
Snap.
Yeah, I just remember.
Just
I remember the bone and it was like eating the devil's Volvo, the car. And
I think you wrote vulva.
Yeah,
Volvo.
My publisher suggested that would make more sense, but I remember it being like the car.
He was licking a car.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because he was going like this. And I was thinking like a steering wheel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes when writers write books, they clear like publishing edits up before they go to print.
Is. This is ready to go.
It is. Okay.
This is from the beginning. It's based on a true story and true events, but not everything is real.
I mean, Charles Manson is filtered through the eyes of an innocent, zit-faced child.
I didn't have my face. I wasn't. I had pimples, yes, but no more than anybody else at that age.
I think you look like you might have had a lot.
I understand. I didn't have that many pimples.
I get the sense you had like almost like a star cluster with pus and red welts.
No, I did that process with those 3 steps you get at the mall. It starts with a C. I don't know what it's called, but you use the liquid blue stuff and then the cream and then the other thing. And
okay.
Clearasil or whatever.
Clearasil.
No, it wasn't that, but it's something like that. I used that until I found out that that's actually, you become reliant on it. And now I just use Cetaphil at night. Once I wash my face with soap once a day at night. Then I put rose water on, some vitamin C. Serum. I use a red light mask every now and then.
I mean, these are all indicators of a child that had severe acne vulgaris. I mean, I'll go beyond acne and say acne vulgaris, which is the medical term for severe bumps and welts.
I could get Dr. Whom on the phone, and he will let you know. Whom?
I'm sorry, who?
No. His name is Dr. Whom. My doctor is named Seymour Whom.
How do you spell that?
WHOM.
Oh, with the silent M. Okay.
No.
Who? Whom? Are you saying or
Dr. Whom? Knock, knock.
Whom's there?
Who?
Your doctor.
Dr. Whom.
Okay.
Have you seen the show Dr. Whom?
Yes.
On the BBC?
Yeah.
That.
But I never understood what BBC stood for.
British Broadcast Channel.
Don't have to snap at me, I don't think.
I'm sorry. I must have been
A little abrasive.
I'm sorry.
I'm just trying to get information about the author here.
I
can see why you're sensitive, you're ramped up. Your uncle wrote Helter Skelter in a Woman's Blood on a wall. I can see why you're emotional.
You're thinking of the Beatles.
No, Charles Manson and his...
I never knew that was him.
Well...
I was a child, but we all were.
We were, and this is what makes it so fascinating to me, and that's why, I really was excited to have you on here, because yes, you're a comedian, yes, you're a producer, yes, you're a lot of things.
What else? I want to promote the other things I am.
Well, you're an author, but I just find your mind goes a little deeper. It goes deeper into the strata. It goes into the different layers of the lasagna, the lasagna that is your mind. That is
because
Rick
it's a long highway. That's what I really like about this show.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot going on.
Yes.
A lot of lanes, too. So it's not just how far it is, it's how wide.
Yeah.
Because, I could get from here to here in a straight line, or I could weave. Now, weaving takes a little bit longer, but it offers, and the analogy would be more perspectives, weaving through the perspective, seeing through the windows of the other cars from the other sides, getting to the destination, not as quickly as you can, but as efficiently.
You're getting a bit ramped up, and I'm sensing road rage here on the Harland Highway.
A lot of people think efficiency is how fast you could get someplace. I think efficiency is how kind you could get there.
See, these are the layers of the human lasagna or the mind that I wanted to get to with you.
Yeah. Which, that's what an MRI does do. It shows the layers. And an MRI doesn't just show the thing. We could take this is from Rocket Man. We could take this and take an MRI of it, and literally it images, if we were to slice it and see from the top or the bottom from all these different angles. MRI, in a way, is a scientific practice of perspective.
Yeah.
An SPP.
Well, there's, again, another 3-letter thing you're throwing at me. Larry? I have a friend who's a quadriplegic and just had new legs.
You know, I actually am aware of your book, Legs on Larry.
Oh, thank you.
Are you not speaking of it yet?
I'd rather, I do talk about it, but this is your time, and this is I really want.
I don't have internet access anyway because I have it in my email. But we'll have you back on the podcast. And
I'd love to. Yes. Now I wanted to. We talked about road rage. We just touched on it, and Rick.
But also, I also want to talk about us a little bit.
I do too.
And I'm curious, how has the response been since you've been on the Take Your Shoes Off podcast? People have been pretty freaking happy about it, huh?
Well,
is that what got you into this?
I'll be honest. You were an inspiration. You were an inspiration. I wasn't doing my podcast before this.
And then you saw me doing it?
You invited me on your podcast, which if you'd like to tell the folks about it right now, that
they know about it. They know about it. That's why they're here. I'm just
trying to be a gentleman and let you mention it because right now I've been so
pushing
deep, heavy into your book.
Yeah.
But no, you
Richard
GLASSMAN. I was I was inspired when I did your podcast because it was something I'd been flirting with in my head, and I hadn't been on a lot of podcasts. And when I went on yours, I had such a fun time, and it was moving and inspiring. And so you're part of the reason that I'm here and the reason you're here.
Yeah.
Why are people so angry these days?
I'll tell you why.
Why?
I'll tell you why. Because back when we were kids, right?
Yeah.
There were only so many stages, and I mean that as a metaphor. There was only so many platforms. There were only so many megaphones. There were only so many microphones. There were only so many outlets that you could take in, right?
Yeah.
Now, what's the guy's name from? He was in Third Rock from the Sun and Inception. Yes, it's a three-name name.
Oh,
Philip Seymour Hoffman, but it's not that.
Michael J. Fox?
No, it's something else. Jonathan Taylor Thomas?
Samuel L. Jackson?
No, what is his name? He was in Angels in the Outfield.
Joseph
Gordon-Levitt.
Jessica Park.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yes.
Now he did a TED.
That's what I meant to say.
He did a TED talk, and he was talking about the two sides of things, where there is paying attention and there's seeking attention.
Okay.
And at a certain point, seeking attention could be detrimental, where paying attention allows you to fill your cup. Now, what my point is, when so many people have a platform to then seek attention, to have their voice be heard,
right?
To have their voice be responded to, it offers this echo chamber, this bubble where this becomes not only more important, the only thing. Almost like when you were speaking of as a child, because we grow into adults, but we'd be foolish to not acknowledge the fact that we are all still children, older children,
yeah.
but children nonetheless. So when you were in this bubble yelling, fuck the Democrats, fuck the Jews.
Whoa.
Then you have people that are either coming in saying, no, fuck you, or yes, fuck whatever it might be. So you're either building this blind army or fighting against people that really are your brethren. They really are your brethren.
And you're insinuating that these soapboxes are virtual, digital, like you're talking about social media.
Now, technology
platforms.
has offered that, but it's also within the public. So
that's what I'm getting at. So out in the real world, there's anger out there.
Because we learn to communicate. We learn to communicate through a wall. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
Speaking of road rage.
Yeah. Well, here we go.
You're driving in your car. No, not you. Somebody. Let's say somebody.
I do drive.
But let's put it away from you because it's easier to acknowledge if we remove the ego. And the best way to do this is to just remove self.
I consider myself a good driver, and I'm not gonna put my tail between my legs because you don't want me to be a driver.
Have you ever had road rage? Have you ever yelled at somebody in your
have.
car? Then we'll use you. And if you're uncomfortable, we can edit this out.
Okay.
You're driving along. You're doing your thing.
Yeah.
Right? Listening to your rock and roll music.
Well, I don't know if I jazzercise while I drive.
Just if your version of your thing.
But rolling the shoulders, I don't want to be labeled Casey and the Sunshine Bandit.
Okay. What about Casey and JoJo, where you're just living all your life?
Okay,
I
can roll with that.
All right.
I can shoulder.
So you're driving,
roll
you're doing your thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, now you're doing Paul Abdul like head shuffles, and I don't.
Do you like cartoon cats?
Yeah.
Well, could you pay attention?
Okay.
Because I got something perfect for you coming up.
Meow mix my twat hairs.
So you're driving, and then somebody cuts you off a little bit, okay?
Sorry,
It's okay. Edit it out.
I don't know where that came from. You got me as you can see, you're getting me a little amped up, but I'm staying on the roller coaster
But that's
ride.
okay. Instead of pretending like you're not amped up or feeling shame, accept that these are the emotions you're having. Let them pass through the highway, and you are accepted.
Okay.
This is the perspective. This is the weaving. This is real life, baby.
Okay.
And to pretend it doesn't exist is what these politicians are doing by pretending that their life is perfect when they're all fucking cheating on their wives.
Yeah.
All right. So you're driving down the street. You're doing your thing.
Okay.
Right. You're doing your thing.
Well, I don't ride a horse.
Never?
Well, I have, but I have a proverbial fear of horses.
Spell proverbial.
P-R-V-I-B-R-I-L-A.
I don't know. That just sounds
I'm not
wrong.
going to be mocked as the champion of the Bakersfield 43rd Annual Spelling Bee. I'm not going to sit here
ASB
and be mocked by my own
That's
guess.
why I wanted to have somebody else instead of you, because you're letting your ego get in the way of how you drive.
It's hard. It's hard. You're rolling your shoulders. You're doing She's a Dirty Rotten Snake by Paul Abdul. You're doing Shake, Shake, Shake by Casey and the Sunshine Man. Clearly taking a jab at my driving.
We're talking about somebody else now. Somebody's driving down the street, all right? Somebody cuts them off, right? And then instead of being present with the person, they're literally by design alone by themselves. This person is not a person where you empathize. This person is a vehicle, is an enemy, is an obstacle, is an intrusion. So instead of handling it the way you would interpersonally, you go, fuck you, you miserable fucking cunt, bitch. And you get angry. Now, if you're in a grocery store and someone with a cart goes in front of that same person, chances are that's not how you're going to respond because you see the person. We are learning to communicate through a wall. We are blind. We are at the keyboard. Though we are more connected than we've ever been, we've also become more alone than we've ever been.
Yeah,
so we have learned to communicate with people alone. Harlan, I'm making a really good point here.
Well, when you raise your voice, I start to wonder if you've got some anger issues
That's
inside.
a great point. Isn't it interesting how raising our volume could actually make us be less heard? And that's why it's important to be in the same room with somebody so you could learn. Now I could learn my voice.
There we go.
Because I don't know to turn my caps off if you're not here to tell me how you feel.
I think I just articulated that you're...
Exactly. Because here we are.
Okay.
Here we are.
Okay.
Here we are. People don't express how they feel online. You know what they express? What they hate. You know, they express how much they want things to change, not by providing an example, but by providing an anger, a resentment.
That's
a
the point
fear.
I was making before the 10-minute ramble.
Well. In conclusion, what I'm saying is people are so angry because they've learned to communicate with other people alone. They don't get to feel. They don't get to connect.
Okay.
So now when they're out in the real world, they're saying things like lols.
What is it?
Lols.
Lols?
Lols. When I was a kid,
I usually go to Home Depot. You go to Lowe's?
no, lols, like laughing out louds.
Oh, LOLs.
LOLZ.
So you're laughing and you have narcolism? You fall asleep?
It's just what people say.
Well, you said LOLZ, that someone would be laughing, and then narcolepsy.
Right.
Narcolepsy.
Sometimes.
Cannibalism. What is it when you fall asleep?
Narcolepsy.
No thanks, I'm busy.
Ooh. Now, Harlan, you're drinking a hot chocolate on a day that's over 100-degree weather.
Yeah.
Is that because you're blessed with air conditioning?
No, this is because you can if you could not perform fellatio on your Starbucks
I try.
chocolate Von Grande Dingle Van Glende or whatever it is.
Say that again. I want to see if you got it right.
Macho Ralph DiMaccio Von Glande Testicular Von Glandular Kat Von D's Sephora Midnight
Crunch.
Eyeshadow Crunch.
Yeah. I've been trying to drink from the straw without looking. Like if I look at it,
Okay.
it's easier to sip. But if not, I have to feel for it.
Oh, with your tongue. You look like an anteater that just walked out of a Motel 6 after getting rimmed.
You know what's interesting? My Uncle Charlie used to call his friend, Uncle Bob's wife, the anteater.
God, can we do one
Aunt
more
and uncle
excerpt
eater.
from the book? I have one final one that moved me. It involves your mother. And I know that's a touchy area of the book.
I have a question. Are you going to hear me?
Yes. Afterwards, I want to hear your follow-up to your powerful words. This is powerful stuff, guy.
Okay. I don't want you to. I really don't. It's your podcast. I don't want to negate you, and if that's something that is important to you, but I'm just telling you how I feel. I really don't want you to.
I want to say I'm receiving your feelings. and I'm respectful of your feelings.
Great.
And
So what do you want to talk
what I
about?
want to do is, for the sake of our viewers and listeners, I have to override your personal needs
Okay.
and agendas, and I think we need to fill a void for our
Okay. Go ahead.
our listeners that need to know about
I
a
don't want
young,
this to happen,
young
but-
innocent boy that had an uncle who slaughtered people in the Hollywood Hills while he was in bed playing with his Lego set. Now you're getting me mad. I think you wrote this book. You owe it to the people to share it. And I'm going to... God... It's like I'm dealing with someone who has SARS.
Careful.
Care Bears.
I saw your password.
Well,
Is that something you don't want me to share?
you can say it out loud. See, unlike you, I'm being open, which is the opposite. Say it out loud. Go ahead. I'm giving you permission. Say my password out loud. Fun bags.
No, it's not my business. It's not theirs.
But this is important. This is literature, guy. You wrote this. I don't know how many nights you were up and down. This obviously moved you. You told us earlier that this book had to come out of you. You're dealing with a lot, being the nephew of a maniacal madman who took the life of a one Sharon Tate, an actress. Now, let's not fight your own impulses and your own creativity. And I'm sorry if this upset you, but after we do this, I'm going to do a RAWSHOCK test with you and see if we can get to some of the deeper angst that's lying within your curriculum surface hieroglyphic enzyme particulars. Here we go, from Pony Rides and Prostitutes with Uncle Charlie, my memoirs as a child, living with Charles Manson as my uncle. This is our third and final excerpt by Rick Glassman. My mother was running late for her jazzercise class. The panic in her voice dripped like sweat down the side of Paul Newman's face. I remember speeding through traffic, her Volkswagen Beetle running over several cats. You know, if laughing is part of the therapy of the...
Of course, it's an insane story. Of course it is.
Well, I didn't write it. You did.
What's wrong with it? Why is there such judgment and what emotions we choose
Well,
to
I
express?
find this tough stuff, and you're laughing it off like I'm
What was
doing
the
a
first part?
knock-knock
What was the
joke.
first part of that sentence? What was the first three words you just said?
My mother was running...
No, what you said. You said, I find this.
Yeah.
You find it.
Oh, I see.
You can find it however you'd like to.
Okay, okay. Let me step back. Sorry.
Okay?
Can
It's
I-
fucking funny, man.
I
It
get
is.
it. Okay, I see. The laughter is probably a way of a coping mechanism, perhaps.
Why the fuck? Yeah, that's why I have a silly
Hands
podcast.
off. Sorry. I
It's not. It's totally fine. I get
Okay.
it. I'm just saying. Just
now when I
understand.
hear you laugh, now I know. Thank you for communicating that.
something
with
that
me.
we couldn't do behind a message board.
That's right. Well, let me finish. Here we go. I remember speeding through traffic, her Volkswagen Beetle running over several cats, my delirious mother not even flinching. Within minutes, we arrived at Uncle Charlie's compound, where I was pushed out of the car door so quickly I felt like an unborn elk popping out from its mother's hoofed uterus. And now I stood alone, with the eerie sting of cicadas filling the hot, sticky summer air. As the dust from my mother's tires settled on the dirt ground beneath my Scooby-Doo sneakers, I stood there in the spacious compound, surrounded by shabbily built bungalows and dilapidated cars. There was a somberness to this place, a queer sense of anticipation, as if something was about to happen. And then, as if on cue, a rickety screen door burst open on one of the cabins, and a shirtless Uncle Charlie appeared, his arms outstretched, chocolate syrup rings finger-painted around his nipples, and a welcoming smile across his face as he crossed the compound toward me. "Star Lizard," he called, as the gap between us narrowed. "Star Lizard?" I responded curiously. Uncle Charlie's eyes twinkled like a lighthouse at the edge of the world. I was the unsuspecting moth drawn to the glow. Everyone in the compound has a Manson family name. We don't use real names here. I felt the warm trickle of urine make its way down my inner... I felt the warm trickle of urine make its way down my inner thigh as I could no longer contain my youthful excitement. Uncle Charlie knew I loved lizards, and before I could say thank you, Charlie scooped me up in his arms, hugged me like a corpse washed up on a beach, and said, "Come on, let's go get a needle in your arm and get you jacked up on black Afghanistan heroin. Uncle Charlie wants to take you on a magic pony ride to prostitute land." Guy, I'm.
Is it the hot chocolate or the words?
I mean, how did you make it through this?
What I don't by pushing forward.
I'm sorry, an 11-year-old boy with a heroin needle slapped in his veins? Mm-hmm. Prostitutes? How old were you when you were deflowered by this maniac and his night walkers?
I never slept with any of them. I lost my virginity at 17.
Oh. But how does one know that if one's, flying, tweaking on Afghani heroin? I mean,
well, my therapist tells me that subconscious trauma still exhibits itself in the consciousness.
Okay.
And there was no trigger with any of these things. Of course, something may have happened, but it doesn't feel as though something did. And for all that I remember, that wasn't the case.
Wow. I mean, I don't know if you're comfortable with the term hero, but
yeah,
I
am.
You're like a hero to make it through this.
I want to acknowledge both accept what you said about me being a hero, and yes, but also acknowledge how many single mothers out there who are raising their families, and some single fathers, but mostly single mothers.
With a bad uncle,
and they're heroes. Now, a lot of that is hyperbolic. I never knew Charles Manson. My family never knew Charles Manson, but this all existed, and it's all a microcosm of what traumas we exist and what uncomforts live within the family and what we take on as a burden to ourselves versus what we take on as a burden that exists within the universe, right? So when somebody comes and gets in the way of your highway, you could swerve around, you could stop, or you could barrel through. Now, sometimes you may choose to swerve around and or stop, and if those don't work, your other option is to not go anywhere or to barrel through. And is it your fault that this obstacle forced itself upon you? And how you handle it is a choice. But how you grieve and how you handle the choices that you made behind you, that isn't something that you could change. It's only something you could accept, grow, and learn from. And I've chosen to take this stuff and not only artistically express it to let people know that everybody has an Uncle Charlie Manson in some way or another. But to say that this isn't something to be shameful of, it's something to, by design, acknowledge, because that's the only way to get past.
God, the way your mind works. I mean, it's I almost need to take a little break just to absorb.
You want to take a break?
No, mentally I need to take a break, absorb. Categorize and influentialize the particles that are being manipulated through the cornea and the vitriolic fluid that's tantalizing the
cortex.
Traumatic Corinthians. I'd love to, because we're getting deep.
Yeah.
I'd love to do a RAWSHOCK test with you. Are you?
Yeah. One of my best friends is a RAWSHOCK.
Okay.
So I'm used to it.
Well, this would be great because I'm getting stuff here with you that I don't get with other guests.
Well, you should check out the Take Your Shoes Off podcast to enjoy that even further. The audience I'm speaking of.
But I'm trying to keep the focus on your intellect, on your lack of ability to focus. We're doing a show here, Guy. Are you playing solitaire or what was that?
That's a personal thing.
But we do need to focus.
I'm here with you now.
I'm about to do a RAWSHOCK test, and I felt like you were checking movie times or stocks or something, and I'm about to do a rush. Do you know what?
You know what movie times and the stock market have in common ever since this whole Reddit extravaganza with the manipulation of of these push options and AMC and what's going on with Regal filing Chapter 11 now. And it's interesting how the entertainment industry at the highest level, at least in my opinion, and for you, thanks to Rocket Man in the movie business, that these things have been put from something that you seek for pleasure versus into something that is literally people's livelihoods, and that line between the professionals and the audience has really been blurred, or I would even say it's come closer together. If you're familiar with Venn diagrams.
Sure, I love the Fast and the Furious.
So no, Vin Diesel. Venn diagrams are these circles where now that middle circle the overlap has been bigger, and it's kind of like we're all in this together. We're all, even you, like you're starting this podcast. Why? That's not who you are. It's not necessarily what you chose to do.
Not even what I want.
Right, but
I don't even want to be here right now.
But we have to take on this responsibility to like put yourself out there. It's a new landscape, right? You're not only now an actor, an artist. You're a marketer. You're an editor. You're a producer. You're a cameraman. You're all these things because you must, and we must, and that's what's happening with the stock market. Yeah, model as well.
See, this is if. Your mind,
What was that noise you made before you said your mind? What does that mean?
It was me. If you ever heard of the term jambalaya in the cooking world?
Yeah.
So I just had a cacophony of jambalaya. I tried to express myself and keep up with your mind, right. And I stumbled on about 17 words at once.
Well, what were the 17 words before
well,
we get
I'm
started?
Embarrassed. One was thalidomide. Which is, I see that shit-eating grin on your face. It's the children with the crab pickers.
Why are you, I'm not offended, but the judgment that you pass on me, I understand is a lack of acceptance of self. And I think it's so interesting with how aware you are of what's around you, but you're sitting in a chair made of Jell-O. What's going on with you?
I'm feeling wobbly, guy.
Yeah, okay. That's why you're stuttering all of your jambalayas.
I think you're kind of deflecting because you're a little nervous about the RAWSHOCK test.
You know what? I don't believe I am, but that may be the case, and let's see.
I
want to acknowledge that might be true.
I've got 5 images, RAWSHOCK images. I'm going to show them to the crowd first. And then I'm going to show them to you, and I need a impulse reaction to what you're seeing.
Snowman.
You know this is black, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't see it as black.
A black snowman.
I see a silhouette of a snowman on being backlit on a snowy field.
Very interesting. Okay. Number 2, RAWSHOCK.
I see a bunch of drones lighting up the night sky in a beautiful pattern in artistic creation. The technology has met art, and it's about time we display this. Backlit in a snowy field.
Actually, this is a snowman that stepped on a landmine. So, but you can interpret what you will.
Isn't that what I'm supposed to be doing, though?
You're right. I apologize. How about this one, Richard?
It's reminding me of when you're at the office doing your thing and you have some free time, so you put your butt on the copy machine and you print some copies, and that's the butt.
Well, I don't appreciate you coming on my podcast and saying I have lung cancer, because that's what I'm getting from this.
Okay. Do you want me to give the test to you, or do you want to give it to me?
No, sorry. Here we go. Number 4.
It's funny because that I see as a snowman who stepped on a landmine.
Correct.
And it's shadow.
Yes. And this is the last one, and this will tell a lot, I think.
No, you had it right.
Yeah.
I see that's you and me looking up at the stars that light our way to happiness and self-fulfillment. And that's me on the right and you falling over and laughter on the left.
That's what I saw too, friend.
So we shared in 2 of them.
Friend.
Friend. Friend.
Friend.
Friend. Friend.
Friend in need is a friend indeed.
And a friend with a deed is a friend in need of somebody to help them bring the furniture into their home.
Because he has land. Mm-hmm. He's got a deed, he's got land.
Mm-hmm. Do you want me to sing a beautiful Rascal Flatts lyric that
I would love it. I would love it.
Because there's this idea that we want and we have these expectations and these goals and these dreams and these desires, and sometimes they're not met, and we feel sad and we feel shame and we feel like we could have done something better, but you don't realize this is all a path to something that might be even better. And there's a song by Rascal Flatts that goes like this. Every long lost dream led me to where you are. Others who broke your heart, they were like northern stars. That's distracting me a little. Do you mind if I...
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I thought the music would help the horrible singing. But what is it?
I don't have to do it. No, that's embarrassing. I'm actually really embarrassed.
No.
No, it's okay.
Your voice... I don't know if you remember the scene in Nightmare on Elm Street where Freddy Krueger's claws went down the chalkboard.
Listen to the words, please.
I mean...
I've listened to so much of what you had to say, even though it made me uncomfortable. I would appreciate you just listening to this.
This is what I hear when you sing.
Beautiful drones lighting up the night sky.
A blowing up black snowman, exploding, and his snowy body parts landing on Princess Diana's grave, who ironically, worked most of her adult life trying to clear landmines. So if you want to sing and mock Lady Diana and her legacy...
Geez, Harlan, you're a tough sell.
Did you think you're going to come on my podcast and just skip through it and not be challenged?
I didn't have expectations.
Well, this is why people want to come on here. They know it's going to push buttons. It's going to make them think. It's going to make them dance the dance. It's going to make them want to have van sex with Casey and the Sunshine Band in
Harlan,
a
how come
Tampa
you're not dancing
parking
the
lot.
dance? How come you're not feeling things? How come you're not allowing your buttons to be pushed? Why don't you just listen to this? It's a beautiful lyric. Please, just listen.
Okay.
Look at me. Every long lost dream led me... And think about what the word... Also, just listen to it. Like, actually listen to it.
I'm going to absorb it and go one step further. I'm going to be like a Bounty fucking dishcloth sucking up grape juice between Dolly Parton's tit flappers.
Have you seen the White Man Can't Jump In? Remember when they had that argument of like...
No,
you're
but I've
listening
seen
to...
Black Snowman can fucking explode.
He's saying that he's listening to Jimi Hendrix, but he can't hear him. But just listen.
I'm absorbing.
Harlan, give me 25 seconds and listen. Actually listen to the words and think about how poetic this is. And what it might mean to you. This is, in a way, a Rorschach test as well. That's what art is. It makes you feel. I'm not going to tell you what to feel, just that you will. Excuse me. Every long lost dream led me to where you are. Others who broke my heart, they were like northern stars, leading me on my way into your loving arms. This much I know is true. Then God bless the broken road that led me straight to you.
You know I'm straight, right?
That's Rascal Flatts. And I don't know anything about you. I could project and I could assume, but I'm here to listen, and I believe that you are.
That might have been one of the biggest, deepest, hardest come-ons I've ever experienced.
What does that? What do those lyrics mean to you? Like, how would you...
It means to me a full-grown man wants to get me in a bed and roll me over on my stomach and power thunder me.
You should get this reprinted to Harlan's ego.
Well,
because not everything is about you.
When a man wants to mayonnaise me up and make me slap around like two priests in a bouncy house, I'm calling a spade, Mr. Snowman Blower.
Okay.
Let's skip along. Now, people probably know this about you because of your Let's Take Our Slippers Off show.
Take Your Shoes
Off.
It's called the Take Your Shoes Off podcast.
You're
I can't hear you. One sec.
I'm sorry?
I was adjusting. I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
I said sometimes when we sniff anteater meat, we get hungry for armadillo juice.
Is that Shania Twain?
That's Twain, yeah. But
you know Shania Twain is Mark Twain's great-great-granddaughter?
That's right. Isn't that wild? Mm-hmm. It's so funny, the different and then you're the nephew to Charles Manson.
It's
so
that's
interesting.
Not, well, I guess for book sales, I'll say sure, but that's not true.
Well, I think maybe Ancestry.com tells another story.
Which, by the way, brings us up to our sponsors, Ancestry.com. If you go to Harlan Highway, Ancestry.com/HHP, that's Ancestry.com/HHP for 20% off your first kit.
It's Ancestry.com. My sponsor is for families that like to fuck.
Okay.
bit awkward there, but if you or
I think it
any of
sounded
your,
really good.
I'm doing the plug. If you or any of your relatives would like to have oral or deep cavernous sex, please ancestry.com, our
/
sponsor
HHP.
today,
And what's the
Banjo
discount?
Eyes.
What's the discount that you get?
Well, most inbreeds don't know how to do math, so we don't do, they're not the brightest. We don't do calculations
Okay.
for inbreds.
Will you clip me singing that song? I think it sounded really good. I'd like
Clit you?
to clip, share with me that song so I could see if I could get Rascal Flatts to listen to it.
I think all you're going to get from Rascal Flatts is like pure litigation for soiling, if I can use that word, soiling a hit.
All right, what were you going to say that you said people know about me?
Well, you live in a place, is it fair to say, and I think you told me that you live on the spectrum. Is that possible for me to say that? Is that real?
Mm-hmm.
Because I got in a little trouble. The spectrum is a new phrase for me. And I was at a charity event for my charity, Cinnamon Angels Fly, Fly Away.
And what do they do? What is their mission?
They help children with cinnamon allergies.
Help them with what? Staying away from cinnamon or finding a way that they could digest and metabolize cinnamon?
When they have a cinnamon attack,
What's the scientific term for a cinnamon attack?
flare.
Okay.
And we help them with the recovery process.
Give me an example. What,
Okay, you're in the cinnamon ward at Cedars-Sinai.
Not me. Tell me an actual
A
example.
child is walking through an airport. A Cinnabon is purposely wafting cinnamon fumes through Terminal 4, Terminal 5, Delta America Terminal. A child with severe cinnamon allergies inhales said waft and lies on the floor. Ankles swell out, which is a common sign. Tongue hanging out. Drool, which enough drool to fill Cujo's asshole.
To fill whose asshole?
Cujo. He had a big dog with rabies. And
He had a big asshole.
he had a huge... rabies makes the asshole swell and widen.
Shania Twain?
No thanks, I'm straight.
Okay.
But anyway, so we help with the recovery, and so.
So do you get this boy in the airport to a hospital, or is there something? Are you working with the airports to have some type of is it an EpiPen? What is it that you give them to recover?
No, it's just to get them to the hospital, and then we determine how far through the rabbit hole they've gone.
Wait, so this charity actually is about transportation as well?
Well, it's about transportation is the first part to get them to a healing center.
Well, who knows that? I mean, transportation can't be the first part. First has to be diagnosing this as a cinnamon.
Right. So children wear a silver bracelet with an emblem of a piece of cinnamon toast.
That's cute. It's cute because kids
I feel
like
it.
No, it is
Making
cute.
fun of
It's
someone else's disability.
absolutely not.
Well,
I think it's sweet because it's a scary thing.
It
and
is.
if you're able to put something like a little breakfast item or a little cutesy cartoon,
it's
makes
cinnamon toast.
Yeah, which makes it not as fearful as like a skull and crossbones with cinnamon sticks as the crossbones.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you. You're getting it. And so anyways, I was at a charity event for Cinnamon Angels Fly, Fly Away, and I met a beautiful woman. There was a black tie affair. And I got talking to her, and maybe the cocktails were flowing a little bit. We were really hitting it off, and she offered up to me, unsolicited. She said, I just want you to know, before we go any further, I'm on the spectrum. And I said, oh, well, that's okay. I have Dish TV, I have Dish.
Right, you thought she was talking about cable, Spectrum cable. Right.
And she slapped me and walked away. But so I realized that
gave you a little bit of cinnamon.
Well, I realized the Spectrum is not a digital satellite service.
Yeah. Well, it is. Not satellite, but it is.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Cable. It's cable, yeah.
So I was just slapped for getting slapped.
Yeah. Also, you never really know. I mean, women are a complicated animal, and so are men. But the difference between men and women, and there's only two.
Here we go.
But the big one is the way that they kind of, what's the word? It's not empathize, but like digest. I'll say digest intention. right?
Okay.
So take, for example, this woman who you meet at Cinnamon Fly Angels Fly Away.
Yeah.
CAFFA.
Sure.
Much like the way somebody with who has a cinnamon flare kind of takes something that you might be able to take in just as a sweet little spice.
Yeah.
But they take and it makes their ankles swell and their mouths drool.
Yeah.
It's not cinnamon isn't the problem. It's the inflammation. It's the way it's metabolized. It's the body itself.
Right.
Right. And when we start to recognize our body as not something that belongs to us, rather than something that we also get to inhabit, along with millions and millions of other microbiome, right? Of other not just millions upon millions of molecules and but actual other living creatures
Sure.
that we are kind of, but we like to pretend we're controlling, and some of it with consciousness we are, but a lot we're not controlling. And so instead of cinnamon being the issue, sometimes it's the way our body, the saying, we are our worst enemies.
Sure.
Sometimes our body will attack itself. Sometimes our body will attack itself thinking it's healing. This is what the immune compromised are dealing with.
My father has restless leg syndrome.
I know.
And one night he kicked himself to death.
Oh my God.
His body attacked him, as you so eloquently.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, he kicked himself to death in his sleep. He had restless leg syndrome.
But doesn't restless mean like your legs aren't moving like that?
No, they
It sounds like the opposite of restless legs.
His knees snapped backwards, and he just he drop kicked himself in the throat.
That doesn't sound like a restless leg.
Yeah, it
sounds like a non-restless leg.
Karate leg syndrome.
You've brought up a lot about karate. You talked about Ralph Macchio earlier.
Sure, I did.
And I wonder if there's something subconscious with this need for defense, or are you just a big fan of Cobra Kai? Do you know John Hurwitz? Shout out to John Hurwitz, one of the creators of Cobra Kai. It was he who's...
No, I'm not going to acknowledge that name.
Okay. Yeah, there's obviously something going on.
There is, and this is... I'm picking the topics, not you.
He also did American Wedding, the American Pie series, Harold and Kumar's.
Steering it not the way
He's
I
a great,
wanted to go.
great comedy writer.
We're gonna end out the show.
Shout out to John Hurwitz.
Well, we're not on this podcast.
You just did.
We don't. Well, I'm negating it. We'd like to close out with something.
You'd like to clog out.
We're gonna clog out. Excellent wordplay from the master. We do a thing called Words from a Wooden Shoe.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the pod.
And what you do is you pick out, it's not word, you pick out a word or words, and you relay to us.
Yeah, like charades.
Like a memory, or if it instigates a story, or some kind of... So,
are you going to do it too?
Well, no, it's only for the guests. So reach in there and pull a word from a wooden shoe. This is actually a real clog from Harland.
Seduced.
Please, elaborate.
And I don't think I told you this. And I may have, but I didn't tell you on the podcast when you came on. And I was thinking I should have told you this, and I just didn't think about it. But when I was a little boy, I used to watch, I'm not joking, the movie Rocket Man. My dad and I would watch it all the time. We loved that movie. And I loved the movie so much that when I had the opportunity to speak with you and to have you on the podcast, I got very excited. This is literally Rocket Man. And the way that you are both playful but mindful, the way you are arbitrary yet as direct as a goose with a feather that wants to be slept on. Correct. I felt seduced by you, and not in a negative way where it's like I'm drunk and he's taking advantage. In a way where the chemicals in my brain secreted this allowance to bring you in, literally to my home, to befriend, to learn, and to play with. And now seduction has many forms and could have many demons, like cinnamon. But in this example, I was seduced from you before I even met you.
It's called the seduction of the enzymes.
SOTA or SOTE. I don't know how to spell enzyme.
You will.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rick GLASSMAN. Rick, before you go, I know you'll want to plug your book, but I also want you to plug anything else that our listeners, our watchers can enjoy.
What a luxury this moment I have to speak to the home audience. Yeah, well, it's the main thing that I want to plug is the Take Your Shoes Off podcast. But also, I have a show on television that I'm very proud of. Mm-hmm. It's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
It's called As We See It. If If you want to go ahead and check that out, it's a great show, beautiful show.
Well, the great thing about it being on Amazon is you don't even have to check it out. They'll deliver the whole cast right to your door in a box, and they'll act out the episodes.
Well, in a way, it's streaming. And that's at Rick Glassman on Instagram. And also, and I'll send you the media, I want to give a big shout out to Marshall Rug Gallery.
Oh, sorry.
That's Marshall Rug Gallery.
Yeah.
And we'll cut to the commercial.
Yeah. Ow. God damn it.
If you're looking for just the right flooring, you need choices. And at Marshall Carpet One, you'll find thousands of choices, including carpet, hardwood, rugs, and luxury vinyl. So make the right choice and visit Marshall Carpet One and Rug Gallery. And we promise, with more than 50 years as a family-owned business, we've got you covered!
And anything else? Your wonderful book, not out yet, but coming soon on Amazon. Pony Rides and Prostitutes, Memories of My Uncle Charlie, Memoirs of a Child with Uncle Charles Manson. Rick Glassman,
Yeah.
what a delight!
What a
to get into your mind, to
be able
let
to
us
play
in,
this,
to
and
let
this is
us
such a
into
great
your
time with you, and I
mind
really
and
appreciate that, yeah.
jump
It's such a good
around
time
and feel
playing
it
with you and
feel
this
your
is fun.
brain
And also it's just
flowing through our
interesting. I've been a
toes
fan
and
of yours for such a long time.
just
and
wonderful.
Really appreciate you having me on here.
Kind of
I was watching. I watched
exhibition
one
of,
and I was laughing last night. I watched the
intellect
episode
and,
with you and Nick Swartz, and I thought it was so funny. And yeah, it's just been a real treat, a real pleasure, a real good time. And thank you again for having me and for giving me the opportunity to share not only my story but my point of view. So those out there, whether they want to feel better or better understood or better to understand, they have an opportunity to listen to this and to feel free and feel carried on, feel cared for, and it's just always a great time. Ever since literally since I was seduced by you and then got to meet, we saw each other at the Hollywood
can
Improv.
I
and we had a
interject
good
for
time.
1 second?
Absolutely.
We ended about a minute and a half ago.
Oh no, I'm just talking to you. I just want to say that I really had a great time with you and have a great time with you, and you have just lovely energy.
Remember the word I used earlier, narcolepsy?
Theme music.
That's it for today, gang. Rick Glassman, powerhouse of humanity. Till next time, chicken chow mein, baby.
Scoot do, bubbity blue. When I was a young boy, I found myself in situations I could breathe in. So I found myself in love the feeling.
Not airing this episode.
And I found myself.
You've just been canceled. I'm not airing it.
What do you mean?
You're done.
All right, man. What a waste of time that was.
Ass.